3 countries in 3 months. How did this happen? So yeah, it's been a little bit crazy. It's been 4 months total now since my girlfriend and I have been uprooted and forced to leave Ukraine due to the war breaking out there. And it's been 3 months since I have uploaded a video talking about what's going on with us. My apologies for the radio silence. We have been, and still are, living out of suitcases. So it's been chaotic, stressful, and financially difficult. But you know, some fun and good times sprinkled in there too. And during this time, we have been in several different countries, so I'm planning to release at least 3 separate YouTube videos showing you the sights and the sounds of these different countries. And those videos will more focus on the culture and the experience, so you get to see a little bit of the same things that I saw. But in this video, I just want to catch you up a little bit, explain how life has been and what's been going on in the last 3 months. By the way, I would be remiss if I didn't mention I recently made a magic tutorial on my Patreon for the sponge balls. I'm teaching specifically a quick, easy to do version, kind of an on-the-go thing you could just have with you and show some people some magic easily. So if you'd like to hear my detailed thoughts about that and simultaneously be helping to support this channel and me, you're welcome to join the Patreon. Check it out in the pinned comment below. Alright, so as you probably know, I was living in Ukraine for 4 years, and then on February 10th preemptively fled to Turkey. I made a few videos, as you may have seen, updating as the war was breaking out on February 24th, and then I went into radio silence and didn't make any other updates. Unless you've been following me on my Instagram, then you may have seen me post a few photos and stories there too. By the way, I've been getting a special pleasure out of posting a photo of myself doing something ridiculous, one for each country, and then in the caption I put something like, experiencing the culture in blah blah blah. For example, the first one I did was experiencing the culture in Turkey, and I have a picture of me at the McDonald's. And I continue to do it for the next 2 countries as well. I don't know if anyone else gets my joke, but oh well, I think it's funny. So picking up from where I left off in Istanbul, I was only there a little while longer before moving to the next country. I learned a couple very nice magical color changes from a few Turkish friends that look like this. Some magical learning, always cool. And then we were thinking very hard about where to go next, and we started to think Spain was the right option. So I pulled up Airbnb and I'm looking around on there, and the prices are absolutely obscene. You're seeing something like, for 1 month, $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000. Excuse me, but I think that's a lot of money. After much research, I think it was a full another day or 2, we decided on Croatia because I'd heard from several people that it's very affordable there and also nice and warm. And our goal was to get over towards the main part of Europe where my girlfriend, as a Ukrainian refugee, might be able to have some benefits to make life a little bit easier. And also they have fast internet, which is something I care about because I was thinking about maybe to put together a Zoom magic show to help my struggling revenue from YouTube recently. Gosh, this is gonna be a long video, isn't it? I'm gonna do my best to communicate the rest of this as fast as possible. So the next thing is we went to Croatia. Zagreb, the capital of Croatia. Why did we pick Zagreb? Because it was more affordable than all these cities along the seaside, because that's where people go for tourism, to relax, to enjoy things. So we were lucky. We were able to get a decent Airbnb for an entire month, you know, because a lot of the calendars for Airbnbs, it looks like Swiss cheese. So we arrive in Zagreb, very sleep deprived, and we go out to buy groceries, and that's the first thing that hits us in the face like a sack of bricks, which is the price of food in Croatia. Very high. Much higher than I'd expected, especially given the, I guess, colloquial wisdom of my friends and associates saying how affordable Croatia is. We're looking at the price of stuff in the grocery store and we're like, okay, you know, it's a new currency for us, so we have our apps and we're like calculating, and it's like, oh, so these strawberries cost that much and this meat costs that much? And we were both just kind of a little shocked and depressed. And the prices for the restaurants is even worse. We must have checked like 10 restaurants and we couldn't find a place that had a meal for one person for less than $14 for just the entree. So yeah, that was the food situation the whole time, and it really immediately shook our confidence in terms of staying in Croatia. What else? We spent some time exploring the city to get a feel for it, and some of the things we noticed are there's a ton of graffiti everywhere. Apparently, that's kind of part of the culture. It's like they don't really have severe consequences, so people kind of just do it, and it's like, that's the way things are. It was a little weird, but I've got to say that in general, Zagreb is nice. They have a nice tram system. You feel safe walking around. People are friendly. So yeah, the whole time we were there, we didn't go to the sea. I know many of you are probably thinking, oh, if you were in Croatia, you have to see the sea. It's so nice. But our mode of thinking was like 90% trying to accomplish work. Like we both still have our main jobs. Mine is YouTube, and my girlfriend has still got her job. She's working from her laptop. We're both mostly on our laptops at home. So we didn't go to the sea. And we did not go to see Dubrovnik, which is a beautiful kind of medieval city on the coast there. But you know, Croatia is shaped kind of like this. It's like a huge comma, and we were way over here. So it would have been something like 8 hours bus ride down there. Probably had to pay for a hotel or something to stay the night at the same time as paying for the Airbnb over here, you know, and it just kind of wasn't in our budget at that time because, you know, costs and everything being higher than normal. But we did get to do something fun and cool. We booked a tour. We found a good price, and we were able to see this place called Plitvice Lake National Park, which looks like this. As you can see, stunning views, beautiful vistas, and other synonyms. It was really cool. I'm glad we took out time from all of our working and worrying to actually see something while we were there in Croatia, because, you know, when you're there, you don't know for sure if you're ever going to come back. A once-in-a-lifetime experience. By the way, I'm definitely planning to share more footage of this beautiful location when I make the YouTube video covering Croatia as a whole. We did a few other things in Zagreb. We saw a beautiful cemetery they have there, which is like rated one of the top cemeteries. I guess they have competitions for that. We also hiked up a huge hill to the north of the city, or maybe a tiny mountain. What's the difference? Is there anything in between? But I digress. We hiked up this large hill to the north of the city. It was an all-day thing. You get to the top. There's like a radio, TV tower, and a so-so view. But you're in nature, and it's a lot of good hiking. And, oh, they had a Tesla museum, which is very interesting. Lots of cool scientific gadgets. At any rate, time was running quickly, and it was time once again to decide where to go next, because we decided probably don't want to stay in Croatia where we have to be so careful about just eating. I once again began my dedicated process of researching countries, cost of living, internet speeds, climate, political climate. So we thought about it, and I remember before in one of my other videos I said, Poland probably isn't a good idea because I bet most of the Ukrainians who were fleeing Ukraine went to Poland with one of these kind of things happening. But I went ahead and started to look into it anyway. I use this website called Numbeo.com. Not a sponsored video. And it's an open source website where you can submit kind of cost of living experiences that you personally had, and you can look at any country and see what the prices are for like food or rent or what have you. Mostly just food and rent, very little what have you. And Poland, as I remembered, because I had traveled there before, was not very expensive. I mean, a little more than Ukraine, but also very affordable. So I hopped on Airbnb and I looked at Wrocław, a city I'd been to before, and saw the prices there were prohibitively expensive in the $4,000 to $7,000 per month range. It's like, okay, maybe this mass exodus of Ukrainians to Poland really has had an influence. But then I checked around and I looked at Warsaw, the capital city of Poland, and I looked at Krakow. And the prices for Airbnbs in those two locations was all right. Like if you really kind of look around a lot. And so at that moment we decided, okay, we're gonna go to Poland. So I booked them and we could relax the last couple weeks in Croatia knowing what our next plan was. The last significant thing that occurred while we were in Croatia was actually not something in Croatia. I spoke to my friend and he said he was planning to go back and live in Kyiv, which if you remember, that's where my apartment was. That's where my stuff was. So I talked with my landlord and I talked with my friend and I got it coordinated so that he could go in there, take all my stuff out and into his place. And then the moving day arrived and it was utter chaos. My friend wasn't able to find any boxes at the post office, and when he arrived, the landlord had already been waiting for him 30 minutes, and him and his wife kind of went crazy, and they started moving things around and trying to pack things up themselves, which completely ruined the system I had written out in my notes. I wrote exactly where everything is, like open this drawer, that thing is delicate and expensive if you can pack it carefully, identifying what they were. He even took one of my DSLR expensive cameras, took the lens off, and he left the sensor exposed, which all photography experts will tell you that's the last thing you want to do. Because if any dust particles get in there, it can ruin the camera. I don't want to go on too long. Suffice it to say, it was stressful, but mostly successful. Then it was time to hop on a 14-hour bus tour to leave Croatia and go to Poland. Normal food prices once again. Whew! Once in Poland, it was just like I expected using the Numbeo data, that the cost of food was what I would consider to be reasonable. So that was a huge stress relief. I'm still curious what was causing this absurdly high level of food prices in Croatia, if it's some kind of import duties or some political situation or some corruption. Anyway, Poland, specifically Krakow. Well, this is a nice city. It's very tourist. There's lots of cool cathedrals, a nice old city center you can walk around. Kind of looks a little Harry Potter-ish at times. Much less graffiti. In fact, it's kind of funny because whenever my girlfriend and I were walking around and we see a little bit of graffiti, we point at it and we go, Zagreb. That's our little inside joke. So yeah, living in Krakow, pretty nice. They have a very cool tram system and bus system. It's easy to get around on foot. During the time we've been in Poland, we've stayed in 5 Airbnbs. So we've been hip-hopping all over the place. It's very stressful to always be packing up and unpacking. You kind of get settled in, you get comfortable, and you're like, okay, we gotta check out this time with all our stuff in plastic bags hanging off of us. And when the taxi driver sees us coming, he's like, oh man, what have I signed up for? And another big thing has been the visa situation. I am American, my girlfriend is Ukrainian, so we have different citizenships and different situations. My girlfriend found a Polish lawyer and as a result went and applied for her PESEL, which is this Polish thing you use everywhere. Like when you're going to see a doctor, you need your PESEL number. And luckily it will allow her to stay in Poland for something like 2 years, I think. So she's covered, she's good. Now, I have done some research and I found out that there is an ancient bilateral agreement between the United States and Poland, which allows American citizens to kind of hop out of the border and hop back just for 1 day every 90 days, and it kind of gives you a fresh new 90 days and you can just kind of keep doing that. However, this is kind of a gray area as I really haven't seen many modern laws or mentions of it. I've spoken with a lot of people and they say, yeah, I do that, no problem. Even the Polish lawyer we talked to seemed to say it would be no problem for me. But when I don't actually have a real visa in my passport, or I don't have some kind of temporary residency permit or something, to me it's still somewhat of an unknown, and I wonder if I were to leave the border and then try to come back, if the guard, depending whether or not he was having a good day, could stop me and be like, no. And then all my stuff and my girlfriend would both be in Poland and I wouldn't be able to re-enter. If any of you watching are Americans who have managed to live in Poland longer than 90 days, or you know someone who has and has used this agreement, please get in contact with me and let me know. Other Poland things that have happened. My girlfriend's friend, Olia, came to visit us here in Krakow. She's living in Kyiv. She just chooses to continue living there. And she heard that we're here and wanted to come stay with us and see the city. So she came. We showed her around the city, some of the tourist sites. Now we're the big professional tour guides, even though we'd only been there for 3 weeks. And since she came from Kyiv, she was able to bring some of my things. That includes my other DSLR camera that my landlord had disassembled for me, but thankfully it was still working. I tested it out. And something you all may be familiar with. Recognize this little hush puppy? This little bad boy? So yeah, that's actually really nice to have this Aesop's Fables book back again, which I plan to use in the next magic reaction video. So she didn't have a ton of room in her luggage, but she brought some of her things for traveling, some things for my girlfriend, and some things for me. Now I have 2 pairs of shoes total, living life like a rock star. Anyway, I was very fortunate that I was essentially the month before able to get my things out of the landlord's apartment to my friend's place, and then that my girlfriend's friend was able to bring some of those things. Let's see, I wrote down some notes, a few other things in Poland. Oh, I released that magic tutorial 2 weeks ago here on YouTube. Some of you may have seen it. It's the perfect Pharaoh shuffle, something I actually filmed back in October and only finally got done because of all these distractions and really wanting the video to be high quality. I only got it done 2 weeks ago. So of course in that video I didn't talk about this whole situation at all because it was filmed from before. And it was just one of those things I really wanted to get accomplished and checked off and off of my shoulder. Ah, so much better. Whew, I'm sorry if this video was super long, but trying to catch up on 3 months all in one video has been a little hard to do. Now looking forward into the future, what is next? You know, and my main objective now is to stop the hemorrhaging of money, to just like curtail the expenses, get like a reasonable level of accommodation, and then be able to focus more on what is my work again on the YouTube channel, to learn more magic. I hope some of this video helps explain why I've been so delinquent in posting videos on YouTube, because things, even this much later, are still quite unstable. I fully plan to get back into the habit of making YouTube videos more regularly. It's what I want to do, but I think that'll be a lot easier once I've got this long-term apartment, so I can just unpack my things one final time and not have to keep repacking them. My next YouTube video will most likely be a magic reaction. I haven't done one of those in a long time, and probably after that I will publish together a kind of sights and sounds of Turkey, because I did capture some cool video there. Lastly, I guess I could remind you, if you feel like, I do have the Patreon with that SpongeBalls tutorial and a lot of other magic tutorials, so if you feel like learning some magic and supporting the channel simultaneously, that's there, no pressure. And yeah, I guess that's about it for this video. So I hope you're doing well. I know that everyone's dealing with their own struggles in life, you know, different situations you have to deal with. I'm feeling fairly optimistic about the future. I really hope this war in Ukraine will be ended soon. And yeah, feel free to leave a comment below. I always love to hear from you all. See you in the next video.